is the story of the Republican Party's, paraphrasing Steve Bannon, flood the zone with crap race strategy. They think they've got this thing figured out. The Republicans. They have tried dozens of things that they can, throw against Democrats over the last year and a half. There was, Mr. Potato Head, and there were, there's just been like this continuous stream of outrage and freak out and, trying things on, for example. And now I think that they've got one that they're really deciding to use, and it's this whole critical race theory thing. And the use of critical race theory by Republicans as an attack tool is not something new. And this is the amazing thing. I think, a lot of people think that it is, where'd this come from? What's this all about? Well, back in 2012, when Barack Obama was president, leading up to the midterm elections, as Spencer Silva points this out over at National Memo, he said, there are even similarities in the dark money behind the 2012 and 2021 efforts. These are the efforts to use critical race theory to attack Democrats. Robert Mercer, advised by Bannon, who became executive chairman of Breitbart after Andrew Breitbart's death, infamously financed Andrew Breitbart's early smear campaigns. His daughter Rebecca has donated large sums of money to two think tanks that seem to be behind the newest weaponization of critical race theory. Bannon, for his part, is now predicting, now this is back now to 2021, is now predicting the current anti-critical race theory campaign will not only win the House of Representatives back for Republicans in 2022, but will also prove to be a right-wing presidential winner in 2024. End of quote from National Memo by Spencer Silva. And this is what they're doing. There is this strategy, this system for influencing people, for changing opinions, that the Rand Foundation actually did a rather substantial white paper on sometime back. The title of the piece that the Rand Foundation or the Rand Corporation did was titled "The Russian Fire Hose of Falsehood Propaganda Model." And Steve Bannon calls it, a fire hose of the S word, of crap. And Rand's researchers said that if this is going to work, if you're going to try and use this strategy, it has to be a fire hose. It can't be a single channel. This is the point this is quoting from the Rand Report study. Quote, high volume and multi-channel are two of the distinctive features. There are high numbers of channels and messages and a shameless willingness to disseminate partial truths or even outright fictions. End of quote from the Rand Report. Additionally, the researchers at Rand Report, the lie and all the information backing it up must be presented with a media effort that is, quote, rapid, continuous, and repetitive, end quote. In this way, they essentially seize control of the zone of information around the topic, regardless of how many times people deny it or try to explain it or try to say, no, I'm not a villain. I mean, it's really quite amazing. And if you got this op-ed, by the way, that I pushed it out this morning from HartmannReport.com. In the article, there's a sentence that says, on the sloppy racist side, cartoonishly photoshopped phony pictures of obese black women telling white people they're all racists are popping up on conservative blogs all across the internet. Take a look at this picture. Just click on that link. It looks like, it purports to be kind of a classroom with a bunch of white adults sitting, watching a very, very, very large black woman standing next to a couple of flip charts. And one of those flip charts says, all white people are racist in giant letters. And then it says, PayPal me at Ashley the Lion. AshleyShackelford.com, so it's got all that as if that's her name. And by the way, if you go to that website, it's been seized up by somebody who redirects you to an advertising site in order to make money. So there is no such site. And then the other flipboard says diversity, intersectionality, minorities, equality, equity, people of color, safe space, white privilege, capitalism, racism. Like it's some kind of a class, right? But it's just totally photoshopped. And this is the cartoon vision that the Republicans are trying to sell to white Americans, that, basically you have to be, black people are coming to instruct your children that they should be, they should feel terrible about the color of their skin. I mean, this is literally what these guys are saying. And Steve Bannon just, a couple of weeks ago, he said this critical race theory thing is to the Tea Party, it's the Tea Party to the 10th power. This isn't Q. This isn't mainstream suburban moms. A lot of these people aren't even Trump voters who are flipped out about it. The Cleveland Plain Dealer newspaper, for example, points out that this school system near Cleveland, Rocky River, had a ballot initiative to raise a very slight raise in local, millage taxes, property taxes, to help pay for, fixing the school up. And this guy, Tom Zawistowski, a Republican who is in tight with the Koch brothers' efforts to rewrite the Constitution and a leader of the Ohio Tea Party, he did this robocall into this school district. And this is what the robocall said. This is a quote. The district's teachers, staff, and administrators want to implement the racist, anti-American, nonsensical, critical race theory which indoctrinates your children and grandchildren with race-based hate of white people, of American history, and of capitalism. Now, as you probably already figured out, none of that is true. Critical race theory doesn't teach any of those things. But the fact of the matter is, hey, it's got the word critical, which sounds, critical. It's got the word race, which Republicans, hey, this has been their strategy. Richard Nixon in '68, Law and Order and the Southern Strategy. Make white people afraid of black people. It got him elected twice. And then you got Ronald Reagan. With his whole thing about the welfare, the black welfare queens, and that young buck using food stamps to buy a steak in front of you in line, and stuff like that. Reagan, openly, nakedly racist. And then George Herbert Walker Bush with his Willie Horton ads. And then George W. Bush with his Muslims going to come get you, and they're not white people. And then you got Donald Trump with his Mexican racists pulling out the strategy. The Republican Party has been using this strategy successfully to win election, because 70% roughly of the electorate is white. They have been using this strategy since 1968 to win elections by scaring the crap out of white people that black people are coming to get them, or they're going to burn down their city, or they're going to rape their daughters, or, fill in the blanks, right? Which is it going to be? Or murder their daughters in the case of the Willie Horton ads. Or Dukakis's wife. You now have 23 states where banning the teaching of critical race theory, which is not taught in one single public school in America. There's not a school in America, a public school. You may find, colleges where this is discussed, but in terms of public education, nobody's teaching critical race theory. This is an academic. It is like teaching, molecular physics. If there is such a thing. It's just not happening. But 23 Republican-controlled states have passed laws that have been signed by governors to ban the teaching of critical race theory that's not even being taught. And as I said, they tried doing this in 2012 against Obama. And it just, the fire hose strategy didn't work. And so they're trying it again. And, as the Washington Post pointed out, they said the term critical race theory was mentioned just 132 times on Fox News in the entire year of 2020, right? They're just kind of keeping it alive and popping it up from time to time and testing what works and what doesn't until they finally figured out the lies that they could tell about critical race theory so that they could turn it into Lex Luthor They could turn it into the Joker. They could turn it into kryptonite. So they could turn it into the great evil thing that the Democrats are using against America. And sure enough, now in 2021, we're 6 months into the 7 months into the year. It's been mentioned 1,860 times. Yesterday, between sunrise and 2 p.m., Justin Baragona of the Daily Beast counted 123 mentions of critical race theory just on Fox. This is what they're trying to do to win elections. This is their strategy. And frankly, it is pure racism, and it needs to be called out as such. I really think that the way that the Democrats fight this, and if you have a better idea about how to fight this whole meme that the Republicans are rolling out, rather than sitting around going, well, let me explain to you a critical... Nobody wants to hear the explanation. That brand is dead, and the GOP is dancing on its graves, or on its grave. Instead, if Democrats want to fight back, in my opinion, what they need to be saying is, hey, this whole phony critical race theory thing that the Republicans are all hysterical about, this is just the same thing as the Nixon Southern strategy. This is just the same thing as Trump with his Mexican racists. This is the same thing as George Herbert Walker Bush with Willie Horton. This is another Republican attempt to use racist smears to scare white people into voting for Republicans. It's just that simple. And the Democratic Party needs to be saying this, needs to be doubling down on it. It needs to be repeating it over and over and over again. Because if they don't, the Republicans actually are going to get away with it. I mean, and the big players are in on this now. Heritage Foundation, one of the people from Heritage said, this will be bigger than the Tea Party. Well, you know what the Tea Party did? We lost Congress in the 2010 election because of the Tea Party. They're planning. We got to react.